What if I told you that you have to sometimes leave where you're from, your hometown, in order to become yourself, your true self, your authentic self? That's been my story. If you don't know me, my name is Nadia, and I was 35 years old when I moved to Bali, Indonesia. I am originally from a very small island called Bermuda. It's 21 square miles. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it is one of the most beautiful, beautiful places in the world. I always fear when I do these videos that I'm sounding like I don't love where I'm from, because I love the culture. I am so grateful for the people. But there is something that comes with a very small place, a very small town, a very small village, a type of pressure, a type of everyone knows who you are from the time that you're born, even before you're born. And there's a sense of pressure to conform, to always do things the way that things have always been done, to not question, to not really push or challenge things, to not figure out who you are and go a different route. And that pressure, that is not unique to Bermuda, but is very common in so many different small places in the world, was slowly crippling me, slowly stifling me. I felt like a wilted flower so many times. And so this episode is really about that. It's about the fact that I had to leave where I was from, a place that is so incredible, but was just not for me because of the mental health challenges, because of the pressure, the judgment, the gossip, the way that we are expected to conform instead of really staying true to ourselves. And once I did step out of that bubble, once I stepped off of that island, I really did start to take a breath. I started to spread my wings in a way. I started to really relax. My nervous system healed. So many things changed. And so in this episode, I'm going to talk about 3 different questions and just share with you my experience. And I really hope that if you are feeling the same, if you are from a small part of the world or just a place that doesn't feel aligned, an environment that makes you feel like you are small or stuck or stifled, then I really do encourage you to believe that there is better on the other side. Believe that you can really find a place that allows you to be who you are truly meant to be, to feel comfortable in your skin, to not feel pressured by the opinions of other people, but to really trust that you are perfectly unique and perfectly beautiful and perfectly fine the way that you are. Not to say that we can't grow and change. We should all be doing that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, but that you just find within yourself a sense of contentment, a sense of trust for the journey, and just a sense of peace that comes from healing. And so the first question I wanted to answer in this video is, how did I know that it was time to leave that place and environment? And so for me, it had felt like a very long time in the making. I didn't want to rush and make the wrong decision by leaving. I had tried a few times and had taken these short little sabbaticals from work and gone traveling for 3 months or so. But I always wound up back in Bermuda because it's where my family is from, where my close family lives. And it's also the place where there were so many opportunities that opened up for me in terms of my career and personal growth and professional growth. And so because of that, it was like my safety net. It was my comfort zone, right? It was easy to work. It was easy to start a new business. I had a community that supported me in that business. I'm so, so grateful for all the things that came with the small community. There are so many blessings that come with it. But on the flip side, there were things that made it really challenging for me from a mental health perspective, that made me feel like this was all there was. It made me feel like I was a black sheep for wanting more and believing that more was possible. I felt like everyone was just content with going to work and working in their cubicle until they retired at 65. And that was never my dream, never my desire. I wanted to roam. I wanted adventures. I wanted just a life less conventional and more of something that was unique to who I am and filled with adventures and filled with just fun, to be honest. And so I would say that when you are getting clear or starting to feel that nudge that this is not the right place for you, I feel like you're going to feel those things. You're going to feel like misalignment, that where you're going and where you desire to go, that you kind of don't fit in with a lot of people that you're talking to, a lot of your peers. They don't want the same things as you. Like, they're completely content with one path, and you're questioning that path. You're really questioning if this is the only way that you can be happy, the only way to find meaning and success. Another thing that you're going to find if it's not the right environment is that you are not at peace. You feel stressed. You feel like there's this nagging feeling that there is something more out there. You are watching other people in different parts of the world maybe, and for me, I would watch people on CNBC, on YouTube, and different news media, and I would just see different options for how we can live our lives that are not the same as what we are told we have to do. And so that brought a lot of hope, and it showed me that it was possible for people of color. It showed me it was possible for people with families and people who are married. And so that's exactly how I started to open up my mind to the ideas that something else could be out there for me. And it's funny, and I'll hopefully share this in another episode soon, but Bali was always on my heart. God had planted Bali from maybe the age of 18 or 19. And I had read a book by Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love, and I just really loved it. I absolutely adored this book. And other people were like, what's so special about it? But I just think that I could feel how she was slowly dying by trying to force herself into a path, a cookie cutter mold of what life was supposed to be, and how once she completely let go of that mold, how it brought just peace. It brought lessons and growth, of course. It brought healing and pain, but it also brought her to just stand in her own voice, stand in her own path, and really express what it is that she wants and doesn't want from this life. And to be honest about that, I think that as women, we're told that we should want the same thing. We should graduate from university, we should get a job, we should get married, we should have kids, we should get the house with the white picket fence. And the reality is that once you actually stop and question whether all of these things are going to really make sense for you in your life, then a lot of times you're going to say no. You're going to say, I want to wait. I don't want to settle. I don't want to settle for just anything that this life hands me. I really want to be intentional, and I want to go after all of the things. I want to pursue the adventure. I want to have the love story. I want to have the business. I want to have just something that's my own, that I can stand in, that I can be proud of, and that I can just at the end of the day know that I lived my life by being true to who I am and being my authentic self, and not trying to pretend for anyone, not trying to be the good girl anymore, not trying to just stay in line and accept this place or this environment when you know it's slowly killing you. There's something, your energy is fading, the light is going out in your eyes. And so if this is you, if this sounds anything like you in the place that you are, whether you are living in the States or Europe or anywhere in the world, I want you to know that there is a place elsewhere that is going to be a better fit, but you have to be intentional. You have to figure out what that next place is, and it won't be perfect, but it will be worth it. Okay, so question number 2, why does leaving feel so hard even when you know it's not right? Or even when you know it's right? So leaving feels hard even when you know it's right because, to be honest, there's a sense of it could go wrong. There's a sense of I could fail, I could relocate, I could tell people that I'm relocating, and then I can wind up back here in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. And for me, that feels a little bit like failure. And it's scary because you are leaving behind something that may not be perfect, but you've survived in that situation for so long, and you know how to survive. You know what it's like to live in survival mode. That's what you eat, sleep, and breathe. But to trust and believe that there could be something beyond that, where you thrive, where you grow, where you have peace, where you have more aligned relationships and friendships and a more aligned way of living. It's possible for sure, but it's not guaranteed. And I think that lack of surety is what could stop some people from going after that dream, right? Because you have to try, you have to maybe not find the right environment the first time, you have to go through, the roller coaster of moving and relocating your job, your family, your marriage, everything, and it could not be better. And I'll tell you right now, it's not gonna be perfect, but I'm really, really grateful that I listened to that voice, because in my case, it was a much better option for me. I think that I've heard a lot of my women of color friends, even on YouTube, but just in general, speak about life in America and life in certain parts of the world where you are not safe, where you don't feel comfortable in your own skin because of how the systems are created to not allow you to thrive. And so I am really grateful that that was not my story, that I come from an island where women of color, men of color have long had successful positions in politics and finance and business and all sectors of Bermuda. I am so, so grateful for that. But I can imagine, what it's like to be from a place where you don't feel safe. For me, my lack of contentment more so came from just being from such a small place where I knew that I didn't have the ability to spread my wings, where I wanted more freedom, just mental freedom to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be, and to step into that without carrying the weights of people's judgments, of people's opinions, of people that tell you that it's wrong to change and act like changing is a bad thing, a dirty word. Oh, you've changed. Yeah, I have. I've changed, and I've had to confront things about myself that have been really hard, and I've had to heal, and I've had to forgive myself, and I've had to forgive others, and I've had to step into a new version of myself with the hope, and it's not guaranteed, but with the hope that I can keep progressing to become the woman that I really desire to become. And so I think that that's what keeps people stuck, is that there's this element of wanting the better life, but it not being guaranteed for any of us, right? And so there's almost like this gamble a little bit to leave something that's okay and to potentially wind up somewhere worse. But I think if it's a situation of your safety at risk, your mental health at risk, then I think that I heard this once from a friend, like you're already living in your worst case scenario. You're already living a life that makes you feel small, that makes you feel like you are in the golden handcuffs, that makes you feel like you're trapped, that makes you feel like you cannot thrive and cannot bloom. And so you're already living that. So take the risk. And the last question that I'm going to answer in this video is, who do you become on the other side of leaving? On the other side of leaving, you get to become who you want to become. And for me, who I want to become is a woman who knows that she's loved by God, a woman who trusts God's plans for her life, a woman who, of course, has dreams and visions for a beautiful future with her family, but most of all, a woman who allows herself to believe that more is possible and is not crushed and bruised and bitter by the challenges of life, but a woman who has learned her lessons and is so excited to continue to learn and continue to grow and to continue to let her light shine. And so it took me a long time to get my spark back after leaving. I was so exhausted. I was so depleted. I'm an overthinker, and I'm also a very highly sensitive person. So in that small island environment, I was literally rehearsing every day all of the things that I did wrong, all the things I said wrong, all the people that didn't like me. And it could have been like 5 people out of 50,000. But for me, I was focusing on that. It's, I guess, part of my mental health. It's just something that is unfortunately something that I carried with me for so long, this weight of I'm not enough, and trying to find people's opinions that actually prove that and holding on to that, unfortunately. And so I've had to really let go of so much since moving. I go back to Bermuda maybe once a year since I've moved. But when I go back, I have to almost like put on this armor. I have to almost go in and try to protect myself, and it doesn't always work. I really do feel my nervous system get off balance when I'm back in Bermuda. I find like I'm in situations where I have to like defend myself or fight, even just with my words, and hold boundaries. And it just feels so exhausting sometimes because not everyone understood or liked that we moved away, and that's okay, but it's our life and we're grown-ups. I'm almost 40. I should get to live my life, and so should you. And so I really hope that if anything in this episode resonated with you, that you will realize that you are a grown-up. You get to make your own decisions, and you get to decide what you want your next chapter to look like. And if you're in an environment where you do not feel safe to be yourself, you do not feel like you are allowed to be who you want to be, then there's almost no choice but to find an environment that allows you to be your true self, right? There's no point in us working so hard to be someone else, because we'll never be good at being someone else. We're only created to be ourselves. And so I hope that this episode made some sense to you. And if you are someone who is still struggling with this, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're working to get over this fear, this worry about stepping into a new chapter, and where is it that you actually want to move to. I'd love to hear all the places that are on your heart to travel or to move to. And if it's Bali, I'm happy to tell you in the comments what life is like here. So bye for now, and I'll see you in another episode soon.